I thought it was going to be me. She's right here right now. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
How you doing, Mayor Bowser?
I'm blessed.
I'm so happy to see you here.
Thank you.
You look amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I am very grateful for your presence here this morning, but more than that, I'm grateful for the work that you're doing in the community. So on really behalf of all of us in the city, all of us in our administration, I want to say thank you. We are very focused, as you are, on making sure all of our neighborhoods are safe, all of our children feel safe, parents, grandparents, young people who just want to be teenagers and grow up and have all of the opportunities we want for them. And you are an integral part in how we're able to accomplish that. So everybody knows that we had a really rough year last year, right? You probably know better than most that we lost a lot of our young people. Our families were traumatized by that experience, and we still have a lot of our community living with that trauma. So we owe it to them, and I take very seriously my responsibility as your mayor, that not only one agency is responsible for public safety in the district. Who's responsible for public safety in the district? Everyone. All of us are. And that goes from, and I have this conversation with my entire cabinet, and because sometimes we get caught up in it's MPD's responsibility. And it is MPD's responsibility to an extent. But by the time MPD is involved, we know that a lot of bad decisions have been made, a lot of people have been exposed to trauma, and unfortunately, a lot of people have been hurt by gun violence. You heard the news just this week, like we all have, that the gun violence epidemic in America is at historic levels, and that it has been declared by the Surgeon General a public health emergency. Well, we've been operating in that public health emergency for more than 5 years. And that is why we have probably one of the most robust violence intervention programs in America. And that's you. So give yourselves a round of applause. And what that means is there is a spectrum of how we respond. And I like to think of that spectrum from opportunity, which is our responsibility as a good government to create. That's schools, jobs, housing, opportunity. There is intervention, which is the work that you're doing every single day, is recognizing vulnerable individuals and families. And part of your work is recognizing the really vulnerable who will become perpetrators of crime or victims of crime, and using every tool we have in our toolbox to stop it. And part of what we're asking you to do is to use everything you know about your neighborhoods, everything you know about the people in neighborhoods that are leaders, but they're leading on the wrong things, and how you use all of your tools to help get them going in the right direction. And so part of that is making sure you are connecting them to our entire violence intervention network, that you're connecting them to agencies in the government. But your most primary responsibility is to recognize people who that may commit crimes or people who may be victims of crimes, and make sure that we're escalating your work to people and places that can help those families. So that's what we're asking you to do. Now let me ask you this question: does anybody have a bag of jobs that you walk around with? You do? Who has a bag of jobs? Because I'm mayor and I don't have a bag of jobs. Does anybody have a bag of housing vouchers? There's nobody that has a bag of housing vouchers. But do you still have a job to do? You still have a job to do. So sometimes when I've had this conversation, it all comes down to, well, people just need a job, Mayor. People just need a housing voucher. Mayor. That may be true, but they need to be ready for it too, okay? And so I'm working on all of that. We're working on creating more jobs. You've probably noticed at DPW, we've created a lot of opportunities for people who need second, third, and fourth chances to get good work in the government. You probably know that we have Project Empowerment that we've added jobs to. You likely know that even for our young people, we've created more summer youth employment opportunities, even for our middle schoolers. Probably know we're working with athletics and coaches throughout the city to make sure that they have opportunities to bring young people in. You probably know most of our kids can come to the University of the District of Columbia, whether in the 4-year program or in the 2-year program to learn a skill. You probably know if our kids stay engaged in high school that there are opportunities for paid internships and for them to go to college for almost nothing. Did you know that? So those are the opportunities that we're fighting for our kids. But guess what? They can't take advantage of them if they're not alive. They can't take advantage of them if their hearts turn so cold that they don't see tomorrow. And so that's the work that we're doing. So you probably hear me talking a lot about accountability, right? Do you? Because I'm about that too. We are working really hard on all of that part I started talking about. Opportunity, intervention. But if you use a gun, I don't want a gun in my face. Who here wants a gun in their face? I don't want my daughter to go to school and be in the hail of gunfire. Do you want that for your child? Do you think that anybody in Ward 8 or Ward 7, where we still have too much gunfire, wants that for their kids? Do we think that grandparents won't invite people to their homes because of all the gunfire they hear? Is that the Washington you want? That's not the Washington I want. But I gotta tell you why we've invested so heavily in violence intervention is because we do believe we can interrupt violence. We know that it's a relatively few number of people who are using guns in our city. And so what I want you to think about in your networks and what you're doing, because this is the reports that I've gotten back this year, that this group of people, our violence interrupters, safe passengers, and credible messengers are working better together than ever. So give yourselves a round of applause. I want to acknowledge Interim Director Quelly Sneed at the One's office, who I see in the front. Quelly, stand up so everybody can see you. I want to thank you for your leadership. Thank you for working at the cabinet level to make sure that our violence interrupters, credible messengers, safe passage workers, cure the streets workers, all have what they need, and we know that we can do more. I want to thank Deputy Mayor Lindsay Appiah, who's here. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for your work and leadership. I want to thank Jasmine Benab, who is here for her leadership. I want to recognize Director Jennifer Porter at the OVSJG. So remember when I said, like, you don't have a bag of housing vouchers, but we fund them. We don't have enough for everybody who wants one, but we know that we can be strategic in how we invest in the people we know that need them. And so Jennifer's office works with Human Services and other agencies to make sure that the resources that we need are getting out there. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to introduce and recognize the ward managers that work for me. They work in the executive office of the mayor, and their job is to be in communities and represent me and know all the issues. So they should know you. They should know your neighborhoods of concern. They should know your community leaders. They should have an idea when it comes down to advocating for budget and policy initiatives, what's most important in the community. And you should know them. And you should know that their job is to be my eyes and ears. So if they know it, I should know it, okay? And so I want you to take advantage of that. Where's Anthony Robertson from Ward 1? Anthony Robertson is the Ward 1 Mokers manager. Tadaya Bila from Ward 2. Hope Cousin from Ward 3. Where's Hope? There's Hope. Okay, thank you. Yamalith Escobar back in the Moker's office for Ward 4. Anthony Black from Ward 5 is the Moker's manager. Marcus Manning from Ward 6. Brittany Etheridge for Ward 7. Wendy Glenn for Ward 8. Thank you, Wendy.
Wendy!
And I also want to thank and appreciate our host today, Dr. Maurice Eddington, who's the president of UDC. Thank you, Dr. Eddington, and all who are here. So before I turn it over to, I think, a panel, I just want to talk to you about some stats. I know that the deputy mayor has already reviewed this, okay? Last year at this time, we had 111 homicides. This year we have 85. That's a decrease of 23%. Last year we had 663 assaults with a deadly weapon. This year we have 498. That's a decrease of 25%. Last year we had 1,374 robberies at this time. This year we have 935, which is a decrease of 32%. And so that means total violent crime is down 28%, and that is good. That's good. What is not good is that 85 people have died, mostly by gun violence, some knives, some boys, some girls, some women, some men, somebody's family. So as pleased as I am that we're going in the right direction, I know that we can keep more Washingtonians alive. I know it. And your help and your hard work are going to do exactly that. So one thing that I want to be sure is a takeaway from this discussion is that you know your job, and that you know who to call when you need help. You know when to sound the alarm to say, if this doesn't happen, then something bad is going to happen in my community. That you know who to call, and that you know the work to do. You know your job, and you know everybody else who can be helpful in this network and out in the agencies. And I think if and when we do that together, we're going to have a safe summer, and we're going to drive down crime so that no matter where you live in Washington, D.C., you're proud, you're safe, and you see a future for your kids. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and keep up the great work.